Welcome back to the Journeys in Business series. I'm Jess, owner of Jess Creatives, and in this series, I'm sitting down with entrepreneurs to hear about their journeys in business and lessons they have learned. Hey, Brittany, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, so to kick us off, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about what you do?
All right. So I am Brittany. I am a content marketing strategist and solopreneur unicorn. To call myself, have my hand in a lot of baskets or whatever that phrase is. I think I just butchered it. So there's kind of two sides of my business. The first is all content marketing and inbound marketing. So I create content and help create distribution strategies for software startups, mostly in the marketing industry. And then the other side of my business is working with other solopreneurs and freelancers and bloggers, help them work brighter and become more productive.
I love it.
Kind of marry those two arms a little bit more.
Yeah, that's like, you just sound super productive and like you have a ton of systems in place, which I love.
Thanks. Yeah. My whole philosophy is if I want to do something, I'd rather figure out a way to make time for it than wait until the time comes. So
Yes.
if I want to start that blog, if I want to start a new project, I just figure out how, and that's added up to a lot of things.
Yes.
I need to control myself a little bit.
Lots of ideas, but that's okay. So how did you get into this?
So I started my career in content marketing about 7 years ago, just as it started off as a PR internship, but I was managing the company's blog and social media. And then I ended up just staying with that company when I graduated, and just over the years between doing their content, and I did a lot of guest blogging and webinars and PR and stuff like that. So my name got out there and people started asking if I could write for them too. After a really long time of saying no, eventually I said yes. And apparently that was, suddenly I was a freelancer. So that happened in 2015. And then throughout all of that, I just always blogged on the side of whatever I had going on too. And when I started freelancing, I started trying to use my own website more as like a case study for what I could do. And so I started putting a lot more work into that. I decided to, make the niche and audience like my friends. So that just ended up being other solopreneurs. And it just kind of took off more than I thought it would and became kind of its own business and a course and all this other fun stuff.
I love it. You and I are kind of similar. Like, I kind of fell into freelancing. But mine started in college because my friends would be like, can you make us a t-shirt? Like, we need a t-shirt for soccer club or whatever. And then I was like, yeah, because I don't know about you. I didn't grow up thinking I would own my own business. Like,
oh yeah, no,
like was not on my radar. And
I also didn't realize that like you could have a writing business. Like I thought if you were a writer, you were like either an author or a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the only options.
Yeah. And then like, even when I started to freelance, I was like, maybe when I'm like 45, I could run my own business because that's like, true adult status. And then that was, like, okay, in a long, 20 years or whatever. And then that changed to like 2 years. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
I
crazy
always pictured myself keeping everything really intentionally small and on the side of my day job, which I still do keep things very small and stuff like that. But the desire to grow, I definitely didn't think that would come, and it did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's super fun. So what is your favorite part about what you get to do?
All of it. But I mean, I very carefully designed this whole business to be like all the things that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do that on purpose. The reason I talk about pop culture is because I want to talk about pop culture. I want to make things fun for me and stuff like that. But yeah, I love the writing and creative aspect of it. This is all stuff that I would 100% be doing anyway, that I did in my free time before I made money from it. So yeah, it's just writing. I always say that my dream is just writing all day, every day. I'm
Yeah.
pretty close to it.
Got it. So does that mean you say no to a lot of projects?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I think that's what some, like, I mean, it's happened to me where like early on I would say yes to like pretty much every project. If I could do it, I said yes, even if I didn't like the project. Like, sure, I can design the side of a semi truck. Not that I
I
really
think
want
it's a little bit
to.
different. I can actually kind of be like overly picky, and I think that that's a side effect of keeping this as an intentionally small side hustle for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to like lately, like collaborations and stuff like free advice and stuff like that, my rule used to be like say no to what doesn't excite you. But then I realized everything excited me.
You're like, okay, that's not working.
Yeah. And so now it's just like, I still don't really necessarily like have set rules, but I prioritize anything focused on content. The less content creation it is, the less
Mm-hmm.
likely I am to say yes.
Yeah, that's cool. That I have gotten better about saying no to projects that don't excite me, and it really confuses people. I don't know if you experience this. Like, I'm very nice, like, hey, like, I think I should really be excited about projects because I'm going to do better work. And so I don't think I'm a good fit for this. Like, here are some other people. And they're like, uh, thanks. Like, they don't know what to like say back. And I even had one person who was like, I think maybe I, kind of worded that wrong in your form. Like, really, what I meant was, but, and I was like, nope, sorry, like, still not interested. Like, they just like really wanted to work with me, and I was like, no, you.
I kind of phrase it, well, it's also kind of easy for me because I really don't have any experience outside of a very tiny niche. And so I just say that. I mean, I know software and marketing and technology. And so that's what excites me, but that's also what I'm good at. And so if someone comes to me that's like out of nowhere, if it's really exciting, there have been times where I've taken a chance and it didn't work out. Just really, this is what I'm good at too. So I'm just upfront and I say like, like I'm good at what I do and I'm not good at what I don't.
Yeah, which is really smart. Like, I think you're the perfect example of niching down and then like sticking to it and like really honing
Tiny.
in on your craft, like, which I think scares a lot of people because they're like, I'm going to niche down and then no one's going to work with me. But then you get really good at what you do and
Yeah.
not just like, oh, I can do this kind of writing and that kind of writing and like like write pretty much for anything. Instead, you're like, no, this is what I do, and then it helps you build your authority.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really smart. And like, I know it's even something that I need to work on, but I know a lot of entrepreneurs who are like, I can be a VA for anybody. I can write for anybody. I can design for anybody. Like, they're just like, whatever. And it's like, no, like, pick what you're really good at and then stick to that,
Yeah.
even though it's scary.
Yeah. And I think also a big part of it is that I have always been, whatever niche I've been in at the time, I've been a member of that audience. Like right now, I like to say that at my day job, I market to marketers about marketing and I'm a marketer, but
I love that.
obviously not necessary, but that does make it really easy to get excited about things.
Yeah.
When you are your audience, I think the enthusiasm and the motivation just becomes a lot more obvious.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a big selling point with my freelance clients too, that like at my day job, I'm the same role that they are in. And so I really understand them.
Yeah.
Just when you are when you are your audience, understanding them just becomes so much easier.
Yes, I can imagine. I love your little line about marketing to marketers about marketing. You're like, this isn't redundant at all.
No, not at all. Not meta. No.
Nope. Oh, that's so funny.
Marketingception.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So what is your big why? What drives you?
It's a few different things, and I guess it depends on what aspect of the business we're talking about. Like if we talk about why I just started this in the first place, it was really just because I loved writing and needed a place to do that. My website was originally back before it's kind of its own brand, it was kind of the dumping ground. It sounds worse than I mean it to, but for like any ideas that I really wanted to write about but weren't a great fit for my day job's audience or something like that. It was just for a place for ideas that I'm passionate about, and like I wanted to teach people about these things, and that was my place for it. So that was just kind of how I got started. And then if you talk about why I made different decisions, like from there, and it's all kind of different. Like right now, the reasons that I am saying very intentionally small, saying no to not content-based things, selling courses, a lot of that is tied to some health struggles that I've had the past few years that just really forced me to get really real with how much I was doing, how much I could do, and just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like constantly sick and just trying to juggle a day job and freelancing assignments, and it just wasn't working. And so I've switched over. That's what made me switch over to talking about productivity and automation. That's why I released a course about it and stuff like that. And I think that that's been the biggest like why currently, because everything that I do, I'm like, all right, well, how will this make me healthier?
Yes. And I think that's super important, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs get overworked and stressed out. Like I can think of just 2 or 3 people right off the top of my head that have like ended up in the hospital because they get too stressed or too overworked or like they just don't take care of themselves. They don't eat healthy. They don't work out, all of that combined.
Yeah. And I mean, it took me probably 4 or 5 times of working myself into the hospital to actually learn that lesson, but eventually well, it only took 5 hospitalizations.
Only 5, not a big deal. But yeah, I think that's important and something that we need to think about more, because it's like, oh, I'm my own boss and like I have all this freedom, and then we work ourselves into the hospital sometimes 5 times. And I think it's cool that you are then helping teach others about productivity and like automation and all this, so that hopefully they stop working themselves to death.
I was actually talking with another entrepreneur who has a chronic as well, and she was talking about how she actually has really similar course material and talks about automation too. And it's like, wonder if like dealing with something like that, it forces you to turn into an ultra productive human being. Because that's a full-time job in itself.
Right. Yeah. It's not fun.
Yeah. But I make the most of it. And that has been the reason that I've been able to build this business.
Yeah. Which is really cool. So if you could tell yourself something in that first like week or first month of when you started your business, what would you tell yourself?
Start things sooner. I'm very, very cautious, anxious, paranoid, almost. And so I sit on ideas and dreams for so long. Like, you know, like I said at the beginning, I said no to freelancing for probably 2 years. I mean, it's not like things were coming to me constantly, but like the seed was planted, and then for 2 years I said no. I shouldn't have. Start sooner with that. I kind of did the same thing with my course, where it was an idea for so long. It was an idea that I was talking about and even working on, but I didn't really do anything because I was too kind of blah.
And it's scary. Like it's scary to start your business, and then scary to like launch things.
Yeah, I'm just starting to realize kind of like how bad the confidence issues that I had were. Like I always knew I wasn't the most confident person, but I was always just like, it's normal. But I'm realizing now that like 3 years ago was like a deeply, deeply insecure person with a very flawed view of themselves.
Yeah, I am right there with you. I have always heard like when you get married that like your insecurities and your flaws are not hidden. They're like brought to the surface even more. And now I'm starting to think that running your own business does the same thing. Like because like dealing with clients and launches and failures and all the other stuff that comes with running your own business, I've started to realize like, oh, like this issue that I have or I've always had is even worse or more apparent within my business.
Yeah. Then on the other hand, part of me is like, I never would have realized that I can actually do this. Like that was actually good. Like I still kind of have to remind myself, like, you're better than this than you think.
Yes.
And I wouldn't have realized that if I hadn't been working on things on my own as well as somewhere else part of a team.
Yeah, totally get that. So if you were starting your business over tomorrow, what would you do differently?
I would have thought out how my freelancing business and my personal blog would work together. Right now, that's kind of why there's those two separate arms, is because I was freelancing and then I started a blog for a completely different audience. I mean, it was an audience I kind of already had because they were my friends, but still I'm kind of in a branding mess right now. Where some people know me only as a startup content marketer. Other people know me only as a productivity tips person for creative entrepreneurs. And I need to figure out a way to be seen like as both, or separate them more, or I haven't decided if I'm blending them more or just separating them completely.
You're like, we're going to either bring them together or completely separate them, one or the other.
Yeah, no idea, but it's caused such a mess, like since my blog has kind of taken off, and now I feel like it's really overshadowing my freelancing stuff, my content strategy stuff, which is what I'm way more passionate about and better at.
Yeah. So there's kind of that tango of which one do I like, how do I do this, which I think a lot of people struggle with when they're like multi-passionate or have like two different businesses. I constantly see people asking in Facebook groups like, so I have this business and this business like, and I thought I could put them on the same website, but is that a good idea? And most of the time people are like, no, like you should not put your Etsy shop on your automation blog. Like, let's not do that.
Yeah,
Yours, I think, is related enough that it could fit on one. I could totally see that as one thing. It's not like you're selling baby bibs and trying to tell people to be productive.
Yeah. So I feel like the way that you would marry that is by as if I would zoom out and just be kind of general online business. That's what captures them both. But then I'm not really sure if I want to go that general.
Yeah.
And part of me would just like to very specifically talk about these two tiny areas, and then it might just be easier to separate them.
Yeah, definitely. So, it's hard, but you'll figure it out. And then in a few months, we'll see you either with a new blog or completely separate blogs.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Or both.
Or both. So what are you working on for the rest of 2017?
I am really focusing back on the services side. Like I said, it kind of got away from me once my blog and my course started growing really fast. And with my day job changing a little bit, I'm not as kind of down in the nitty gritty of content creation there as I used to be. It's kind of more zoomed out and focused on like metrics and strategy. So I would love to start bringing that content stuff into the side of my business that helps creative entrepreneurs. So right now I'm planning out special service packages for them. I think it's going to be kind of focused around content auditing and optimization.
Nice.
Kind of bringing the technical startup growth hacky mindset to creative business, which I think is something that we all kind of struggle with sometimes.
Yes, me included. Well, that sounds awesome. I'm excited about that. So where can we connect with you online to hear more about this and your new services?
Okay, so my website is brittanyberger.com. And you can find me on pretty much any social platform. My handle's @bberg, not Bieber.
Let's clarify that.
We need to clarify. So actually at one of my day jobs, I kind of had kind of a teeny bopper reputation. And then I find out that part of the reason for that is because they all thought my Twitter handle, that I had told them out loud, was me naming my Twitter handle after Justin Bieber.
Oh my gosh, that is super funny. You're like, no.
You just misheard me. I'm like, it was my name first.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's super funny. Like I can imagine you like in this room of people and you're like, that Bieber. And they're like, what?
Yeah, I was like talking to all these people that are like older than me in a conference room. I'm like, you can follow me on Twitter, that Bieber.
No worries. Oh my gosh, that's super funny. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thanks for having me.